into the kitchen, and with me today I have the beautiful Julie. Welcome, Julie.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having
so
me.
I've made us a lovely gin. Now, generally we're doing a beautiful beef dish today, but generally you'd have a red wine, but we are having red something, so cheers.
There we go, cheers.
So this is a lovely gin and soda,
Matches
just
your
to help
dress.
us prep. And matches my dress, yes, I planned the whole thing. So just with dinner parties, and we're all getting back together after so long of being apart, we really want reliable dishes when we have our dinner parties, so that when our guests arrive, we're not crying, drinking excessively from the stress of it.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite dishes to serve is a beautiful medallion of beef. Now, obviously, with a beautiful medallion of beef, our guests will be expecting a sexy sauce, or they should be, a sexy sauce to go with it. What do you generally serve with your beef? Do you have a favorite sauce?
I like béarnaise.
Yes,
Yeah.
lovely.
And I don't know how to do mushroom, and that's what we're doing today, right?
Exactly. So I've got in my product range a beautiful mushroom powder. And basically it's chopped down or blended porcini mushrooms. Now, if you have a sniff of that, don't sniff too hard. Okay, but mushroom dust is very lovely to have around. Now, of course, if you don't have mushroom dust, and if you pass that packet over there, I think it's that one. Yes, this is the porcini mushroom dust that I've got in my range. But of course, you could use fresh chopped porcini.
Yeah.
Now, making the steaks to order can be very stressful for a lot of people. But in my little culinary quickies book, I list all the different temperatures. And basically, I usually like to cook to a medium rare. How do you like yours?
Medium rare.
Medium rare.
Yep.
So we're going to go for about I'll do a 45, and we'll get to about almost a 50 for you,
Okay.
or a 45. So these are lovely medallions of steaks. They're quite nice and high, and I actually cut these off
I was
a
gonna say, what kind of cut is
tenderloin.
it?
Yeah, so that's the beef fillet, or the
Right.
tenderloin. Now, I've left one here for us. As you can see, if you had to bring these out on a beautiful platter to go on the barbecue, this would really stun, dazzle, and amaze your friends.
Yeah.
So I just like to show you how to do that, and it's just a little bit of a trussing skill.
Okay.
So we've got that beef medallion there, and it's really just to keep it nice and high, so that we'll take the string off before we serve it, so don't serve the string. People might not take it off. But literally all I'm going to do is we're just going to start with one little knot, and you can do whatever knot you like, whether you're a fisherwoman or a seamstress. You'll know a knot that will tie that, and then we're just going to do 2 layers. Now, like I said, you don't have to do this. This just is the chefy difference.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you've got a beautiful big cut like this with a really deep one, we actually in the pan want to keep it nice and high, so that when we serve it to the plate, it looks like a movie star.
I've noticed that actually when I make films.
In the restaurants,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, when I do it,
They go
out,
flat, yeah, they go flat. So all I'm doing there is just adjusting it, and then one final knot, and that will stay together. Now, I have put in a dramatic posy
Naturally.
of the fresh herbs out of my garden there, but you don't have to do that. It just really, when you put this on an open fire at the barbecue, it smells like heaven, having all of those herbs. So herbs that might go on there, rosemary, sage, thyme, tarragon, anything like that will be fine. So I should get scissors for that. There we go. So that is all we need to do. I've got a bit of extra herb here. We're just going to pop that in. And this literally is just for a bit of theatre of food. So those are ready to go. Now, when we season the steak, so you could literally just have steaks off the barbecue. The sauce itself, if I didn't talk so much, it only takes a couple of minutes. So when we do it in a pan, we'll need to deglaze the pan. So when I say deglaze the pan, most people in my classes go, oh, I'm not chefy enough. I don't know how to deglaze the pan. It's when we get all those beautiful catchings off the bottom, which are the flavor. And then we're just going to add a little bit of the mushroom paste, a little bit of dairy cream, and a little bit of stock as seasoning. Now, talking about seasoning, there's nothing more disappointing when you get a beautiful steak like this served to you, and they have forgotten to season it. Have you ever had that before?
No, actually, I have not.
Oh, thank goodness. So you're one of the lucky ones.
At
But
a restaurant that happens?
sometimes, or at a dinner party. So I like to show you my very sophisticated salt snow method.
Okay.
Now, I do have a black salt in my range, which I bash up, and I do a dramatic dirty black beef. But today we're just going to do a little bit of sea salt in a tea strainer. This is if you just want a nice even crusting. So on the palate, when you bite into it, it'll just be perfectly seasoned.
That's so cool.
Oh, thank you. It'll save you a lot of time. And yes, it is quite cool. So if you want to do the other two,
Yeah.
and you don't have to also, you don't have to do too much. It's everyone's got a personal, everyone's got a personal choice on how much you actually want to put on there. And of course, we could put some crushed black peppercorns as well. Just be careful with crushed black pepper. If there's any loose and you're doing it in a pan, it does create a pepper smoke, which makes you cough. So always be aware of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to cook on this little induction cooktop today. I've got my fancy griddle pan, and we are going to get that nice and hot. So if I just get that to the maximum, can you see I'm not even looking? I'm trying to see which, oh, there, that's nice and hot. Now, if we put cold steak into a cold pan, and if you're a compulsive poker, I've seen a lot of videos of people poking their steaks. It really stresses me out. We literally want, I always say, don't even make eye contact with the steaks. We just want them to just do their own thing. We want to really get that crusting. And now the chefs will tell you that the fancy name for when you get that elegant, beautiful crust. And this is why a lot of people go out to a restaurant. Because at home, if you're not getting your pan swear word hot, then your steaks are going to be grey. And a grey steak that you've poked to death is not sexy. Okay? So we've got to be mindful of that. So let me just grab some tongs for us. So getting that pan nice and hot. Now it's all about also knowing which oils to use. I love extra virgin olive oil. I love to drizzle it over salads and drizzle truffle oil over our steak when it's cooked. But when we start our culinary journey and when we are going to get something nice and brown, we should not be grabbing the extra virgin olive oil.
Butter?
Yeah, you can do butter. Butter will burn quite quickly, and we're going to add that in as flavor at the end. But to get it started and to get these steaks to get that lovely Maillard reaction, which is what that caramelization is called, we need the cheap, crappy stuff. Okay? So rice bran, canola, vegetable oil, sunflower oil. Now, I would never drizzle this over a salad for you, or I would never spray, a salad and make you eat it. But it's a workhorse oil, and it can take the heat. Okay? We don't want things, you see, we want that smoking. We don't want things sticking to the pan. It's very stressful, especially if you're cooking fish. If you've used an extra virgin olive oil and your fish sticks, that's why it's stuck. But I digress. Okay. In goes, and you see I'm waiting. We need the sizzle. Did you see how excited I got? We've got to have a sizzle in the pan. If there's no sizzle in the pan, we are not going to get those sexy little marks that you see in the movies. Okay? So we'll pop those in, and we're going to have to, I'd rather have the smoke than have a low pan. So let's put those in there. I'll get rid of this mess. And what we're going to do there, for a medium to medium rare steak, we're probably going to aim for about 4 to 6 minutes on each side. Because they're quite nice and deep. Now, of course, if you've got a supermarket steak that is that thin, you probably would only do it like 1 or 2 minutes per side, but in a swear word hot pan. Now the old, when we talk about how many times do we turn a steak, there's two sort of trains of thought for that. The first is with a thin one, I would only probably turn it once. But with this fat guy, we are going to have to turn it as many times as we need to get it to get to the right doneness inside. So we definitely are going to have to turn this guy, these three, a few times. So even up to 8 times. So it really depends on the thickness. We've got the thick steaks. I want you to really feel like this is a luxurious dinner party that you have come to. Okay, now we can actually dispose of those because we've got them in the photo now, and I can literally put those on later. I'm going to turn these over. Oh, and you see we've got the lovely lines. If you want to do the lines the other way, just give them a half turn. And we don't want to really burn it, so you can see I've turned it down there. Now, at this stage, what you could be doing is you could be prepping the rest of the meal. So I'm nice and efficient in the kitchen. If I've got something in the pan, there's an opportunity to either grab another sip of the drink or do some prep. In this case, we've done all the prep, so we're all good. And literally, we've got a few things ready for when we do our sauce. Now, if you want to get us a plate just out of this drawer over here for resting. Again, with the resting, thank you so much. With the resting, I always say at least for half the amount of time that you cooked it, but if you're in a terrible rush, at least 4 minutes.
Okay.
If you put a steak onto the plate and it hasn't rested, when your guests cut through, it is going to bleed, and it is very important to do that. So let's have a look. I've turned that down just because of the smoke, but out on the barbecue, or if you're under the extraction, by all means, we can fire that up. So this is awesome. This is beautiful. We got that lovely caramelization there. I would even go hotter, but that looks very cute so far. We are going to go a little bit hotter. Now, when I've got the other side done, I'm actually also going to do these sides because we got such thick ones.
Right.
You won't have to if you've got a thinner steak. And I like to use the same pan because I'm too lazy to wash a whole lot of dishes. I hate it when I'm doing a dinner party and I've chosen something that is way out of my comfort zone, that has got a lot of dishes,
right,
and where I have to work too hard.
Yeah.
Okay, so generally I would do this, make it look all pretty, and I'd send hubby out to the barbecue to go do it, and I would waltz in with a fabulous sauce. But here we are actually going to build the sauce around us. So if you can get us a tablespoon just out of that drawer there. I do have that lovely naughty butter you were talking about. A classic method of doing this would be equal amounts of vegetable oil and butter.
Okay.
But I don't like vegetable
I
oil.
always wondered what vegetable oil was.
Well, it's the heat. So
Yeah.
vegetable oil can be sunflower, rice bran,
Right.
canola, anything like that. But here, I don't want to put a lot of oil in there because I don't mind it, but I don't want it in my sexy sauce. So now that it's at a gentle heat and I'm not going to, burn the butter, I'm going to turn those onto the other sides, and I'm actually going to build the sauce into the pan. Now this could be, we're going to do a mushroom sauce, but you could also throw finely diced vegetables in here.
Okay.
And make like a little sexy ratatouille around the dish. Add a tin of chickpeas at the end, and you've got like a lovely Tuscan ratatouille on your steak. It's all about learning how to cook the steaks properly,
Yeah.
and then serving a sauce so that you do get that round of applause. So literally here, we are getting some good color. I am happy now to add a bit of that butter. Now, the butter amount that I'm going to add could be slightly shocking to a lot of people, but if we're going to make a sexy sauce for 3 people, then I do want to have enough of it. And you don't have to add the butter, but you can either, that might be a little bit too much, sorry that fell in. So we're going to add the butter, and then we can literally start building our sauce around it. That guy's not standing up. The butter's not burning. It's not going crazy, crazy hot. At this stage, I'll add some of that porcini mushroom dust. Now, of course, you could have fresh mushrooms, like I said. I'm just using this because it's always in the pantry, and if I've forgotten to get a mushroom, well, we can definitely add that. All right. I'm going to do about 2 big spoons, and you've had a sniff of that. You approve?
Yeah, I approve.
And then the only other thing I have to add is cream and seasoning. Now, the seasoning depends on how much we've seasoned our steak in the first place. If you put an obscene amount of salt on there and it's now come off the steak and it is in the pan, we can have a dangerous situation where it's too salty.
A salt blizzard.
A salt blizzard, yes. So if you did make your sauce too salty, and I love to give you those, what do I do if it doesn't go well? This is all going well, but what if it doesn't go well? If you've got a salty sauce, you have to extend it. So you've got to add more liquid and then either thicken it or, put some more veggies through it. But you can always save it or throw some of it out, and then you've got a more diluted sauce. So once those are done, and you can just see that mushroom in there, this is very low maintenance. I could literally be drinking on the job and chatting to the guests and showing off with my culinary skills. Now, I'm going to add some cream. Again, we're not on diet today. I just did a very a lovely healthy meal in one of my other episodes. So we can do this decadent one, and we can swing the other way and get the healthier one as well. But this is going to be great. This is a dinner party. We're going big. We're celebrating. We can have as many kilojoules as we want. Now that is essentially deglazing the pan. I have left the steaks in there because they're so big and fat, and we do need to get the temperature through there. I like mine rare to medium rare, but we'll take them out in a second. What I can do is, just for that sauce, is with the cream, I just need a little bit of hot water from the kettle.
Okay.
I'm going to throw it in there. We're going to take those out to rest, and then I'm going to show you how to plate this.
Okay.
Now, was that not the easiest sauce you've ever learned in your life?
Definitely the easiest sauce.
I'll get some spoons, and we'll stick a little spoon in there and taste it.
Okay. It smells
We'll be
good.
right back. So these are smelling amazing. What we need to do, Chef Julie, is we need to taste the sauce. So before we serve, we always taste, because it's a perfect opportunity to correct any mistakes. So this here, if it's too bland, what we can do is we can just turn the heat up, cook the sauce down, and get it to reduce. When you reduce the sauce, it'll salt up. I think that's perfect.
It's very good.
If it was too salty, I wouldn't start crying or anything. I would just add a little bit more cream. And you saw I had the cream, and then I just put some hot water in the jug and poured it in. And this is now perfectly, as far as I'm concerned, thin enough for us to do our sexy drizzle. Now, these steaks were quite thick. Your thinner steaks would have had to come out ages ago. These are now going to rest. We're going to snip that skin off. And while they are resting, it is an opportunity to plate up. Now, plating up in front of guests is a little bit time consuming, and you can get a bit stressed, especially if people are looking at you, right? And you want them to think that you're chefy and, you know, under control and nice and calm. So there are some ways. Now, I've actually got a little butterbean mash here, which I have made. It's called my Happy Yellow butterbean puree, and I make this so many times for so many dishes. It's instead of a mashed potato or anything like that. Now, if you are dishing up from the bowl, I always like to train you for dishing up. A little saucer works as a transporter plate. So any drips that might go on the side of the plate, we have caught them, and you can live happily ever after. I always say you save about 20 years of your natural life. Instead of wiping the plate with a dirty old tea towel, you know, you see them do it in the movies. This is the more efficient way, and it looks quite chefy as far as I'm concerned. So just a little bit of the butterbean puree as a puddle on our plate. But that could be a sexy mash. You could do a truffled mash or anything with that. This is ready. We are going to have just a few veggies. Did you want to try that?
Yeah.
I've got some sweet potato fries that I've made just in my little air fryer. And when we were cleaning up, I took a piece of cauliflower. I drizzled it with a bit of olive oil. I put a bit of the mushroom dust on, and I popped it in the air fryer just for 8 minutes. And that's going to be part of our dish as well. So dishing up, we're just basically building the flavors, okay? Our steaks will speak for themselves. We do need to just cut that little bit of string off, because that could be quite confronting for our guests. And let me take the smaller one, because that big one is going to be nice and rare. And of course, with the tenderloin, you do get different sizes. You know, some of them are thinner, and you will get some more cooked than others. But of course, I have a lovely steak guide, which I'll give you, and that'll make your steak career much more easy. So we just need our little bit of sauce. Of course, you could bring that closer. All right, and this has got a lovely little pouring spout. We're going to just drench that dramatically with the sauce. You could also serve that sauce on the side, and then we're just going to build that plate up. I've got some lovely little signature of freshness, some little snow peas. We don't want everything to be too rich. You do want to cut through the creamy mash that we've got, the creamy sauce. You do want some either steamed broccolini, some of these little peas, you know, even green beans would be fabulous. And then I have got something for crunch on top here. I've got the little sweet potato fries, which I have made in the air fryer. And that's just using a julienne peeler.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to put that on top there. It's almost like steak and chips. So, but a little bit more glamorous, much more expensive looking. And to be honest, when you cut a steak and put it on a plate, it never does look very glamorous. We'll put that cauliflower on in a moment, but should we taste this and see what you think?
Okay.
Do you want to plate up one for yourself?
I like yours.
There we go. All right. I also like to, I know
Actually,
this
yeah,
is...
can I try it? I will do
Yeah, yeah. I know this is not normal, but I like to put, just for the photos, you know, that your guests are they're going to literally whip out their photos and start Instagramming your food. I like to put a bit of color on the plate. It just helps them you know, get a few more likes and for people to take them a little bit more seriously. But look how elegant that is. All right, so let's have a quick cleanup. I'm going to plate up another one, and I think we have earned a lovely lunch or dinner party. So Julie, cheers.
Cheers.
So
Thank you.
we've had a quick cleanup. You've got to clean the kitchen quickly. And we're just about to eat this beautiful porcini steak. Now, it didn't take us long to make. So for a dinner party, what was that, 15 minutes?
15 minutes max.
And this is going to taste like a very expensive restaurant meal. And all you need is a little bit of confidence. Okay, so I'll drink to that. Now, why don't you tuck in and try that? And guys, please try this for your next dinner party. I'll drink to that. Cheers.